But we begin in Minneapolis, where there's been a second shooting at the hands of an ICE agent. U.S. officials tell CBS News a Venezuelan migrant was shot in the leg just last night. They say the shooting happened when some man attacked a federal immigration officer during an arrest operation. Now, both the migrants and the agent are expected to be okay, but tensions rose as crowds of protesters gathered at the scene. ICE tried to keep them at bay with tear gas and pepper spray. You see that in this video here. President Trump is now threatening to invoke the Insurrection Act amid these clashes, which would allow deployment of military forces in the state. Now, moments ago, Homeland Security Secretary Noem told reporters she discussed that option with the president.
How would you describe what you were seeing on the ground there? Would you describe it as an insurrection, and do you believe the president should invoke the Insurrection Act?
I describe it as violent and a violation of the law in many places. I discussed with the president this morning several things that we are dealing with under the department in different operations. We did discuss the Insurrection Act. He certainly has the constitutional authority to utilize that. My hope is that this leadership team in Minnesota will start to work with us to get criminals off the streets. Remember, we are there in surged operations because of the largest fraud scheme in American history. We had people stealing from taxpayers, stealing funds away from the most vulnerable individuals in this country, people who needed mental health services, developmental services, autism, daycare. Instead, individuals came in, much from the Somalian community, and stole dollars from those people who needed it and put it in their own pockets and enriched themselves. Did it right under Governor Walz's nose, and we believe that he didn't just know about it, that he may be complicit in it as well.
Madam Secretary. All right, let's go on the ground to Minneapolis and CBS News correspondent Lana Zak. Lana, I want to talk first about this latest shooting. Can you lay out what happened before and after the incident?
Hello there, Mugo. Well, much is still yet to be discovered on that. What we are hearing from federal officials is that they were trying to conduct an arrest at the moment that this individual resisted arrest and attempted to flee. There was also a shovel that was used as a weapon against that ICE agent before the agent then deployed the use of their firearm. We understand that the migrant is now in detention custody, but there's still a lot that we're sorting through and trying to figure out here on the ground. That's also why the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehensions has announced that they will be conducting their own investigation into this most recent shooting. Mugo.
Okay, Lana, and I understand that there is a post that we should hear. That is that post from President Donald Trump there talking about the possibility of basically invoking the Insurrection Act in Minneapolis. But I also know that we spoke with Noem earlier. She also mentioned this. She said she spoke to the president about the possibility of invoking the Insurrection Act. Here's what she had to say.
The second half.
There needs to be an Insurrection Act.
Oh, I think that the president has that opportunity in the future. It's his constitutional right, and it's up to him if he wants to utilize it.
Do you think he's likely to do it?
I don't know.
But if
he's
he
not
does,
the
will
situation.
it lead to more deadly killings in Minnesota if the Insurrection Act is invoked?
If anything doesn't change with Governor Walz, I don't anticipate that the streets will get any safer or more peaceful. Governor Walz and his leadership team need to come to us and find out how we can work together like we have in many other states. We didn't see this kind of reaction in Louisiana when we ran our operations, exactly how we are running them in Minneapolis. But we had a very different response because we had leaders that were working with us. If you saw our operations in Florida, extremely successful. In Minneapolis so far, we brought hundreds of criminals off the streets that were dangerous to society and dangerous to that community. We would wish that Governor Walz could take an example from the governor of Louisiana, the governor of Florida, and work with us to do the right thing for his people.
Okay, Lana, so what do you think this could do? Do you get a sense that if the president does, in fact, invoke the Insurrection Act, that it would fend off protesters, stop the protesting out there, or do you think it's going to make things worse?
What I'm hearing from people here on the ground is that it's all making things worse in terms of both sides becoming further entrenched in their positions. I saw earlier today at this very site where Renee Good was killed just over a week ago, three men who were playing a song that is most closely associated with neo-Nazis walking by this site. It is bitterly cold out here, as you can probably tell just from my face. And so there aren't as many people out here as we've seen some other days. But people continue to say that they will protest. I heard from one protester that everything that they are hearing from the federal government that's intended to shut them down only emboldens them more. And even on that site of the protest last night, I was over there, which is in northern Minneapolis, and you could still see the debris on the ground, the wreckage from that clash between ICE agents and protesters. None of this is cooling things down. For his part, Mayor Fry, who was accused of stoking the violence by the federal government, says that he is calling for peace. And there's so many people here, Mugo, that want that peace. But as other people continue to increase the rhetoric, well, it becomes tougher, I think, for that peace to be found.
Yeah. Lana, we mentioned that this is the second shooting involving an ICE agent. Last week, Renee Good, she was shot and killed by an ICE officer. You spoke with her family's lawyer. What did you learn from that conversation?
You know, he wanted people to remember Renee Good as he said, the best of the best. I want to play a little bit of what he had to say.
I don't know that she broke a law. And let's say in the worst case scenario, there was a traffic violation. Her car was improperly placed in the street. Okay, what's the response? A gun to your face with the trigger being pulled? Never.
So they are conducting now their own investigation. What's interesting about speaking with the family's attorney is that Renee Good's parents, and her father specifically, has made himself known as a Trump supporter, somebody who voted for him. Her partner, her widow, is somebody who's more on the liberal side of the spectrum. But the family is coming together because they want protesters to be able to continue their work in peace. And that is their fundamental message for America.
Okay. Lana Zak in Minneapolis for us today. Thank you so much.